Yo, what's going on, snipers? And today we're going to be starting up our very first franchise mode of NHL 23, which is going to be a Draft Glory series, which obviously you guys know from back in NHL 22. I did a Houston Sharpshooters Draft Glory, and that was one of my most fun series I've ever had. Now, the only thing that didn't happen really with that franchise mode is we never won a Stanley Cup, so I'm back up here with another year of franchise mode and another Draft of Glory, trying to win a Stanley Cup in a Draft of Glory. And yeah, hopefully we could build quite a team with amount of draft picks and stuff like we get every single year. And obviously there's going to be no trades and no signings and all that stuff, so this series probably won't last as long as the Chicago Blackhawks series that I'm also going to be running, but it's going to be pretty exciting nonetheless. So yeah, let's get into this. I'm going to show you guys what our team is going to be looking like, because we are going to be doing a different city than we were last time, and I'm also going to be going over the expansion draft in this episode. I will also do the first draft in this episode, and in the next episode will be the first season simulation and the first official draft, I guess you could say, because this is technically like if we went back in time in real life. So let's do the 33 team expansion, and we will go with custom roster just because we did add a created team. And we will select the team to be the 33rd team, which, as you can see here, is Anchorage. We are going to be going all the way up to Alaska. So we're going to go from a place that was pretty warm in Houston in Texas all the way up to Anchorage, who's probably really cold. I have no idea. I've never been to Alaska before, but based on our logo, what can you guys guess our team is named? It's actually going to be the Anchorage Ice Tigers. So we have that kind of like blue look to the tiger, just to give it a little bit more of a cold feel to it. I know there's no Ice Tigers in Anchorage, but still, I think it's a kind of a cool name. So let's click on that, and let's go over to build our dynasty. Let's go to this and just name our GM SnipeNScore, as we always do. This should be a pretty fun series, I think, just because we had some really interesting players when we did our Draft of Glory in Houston. It was a very tough team to like build up, and eventually we got to one Stanley Cup Finals appearance, but we lost it unfortunately. But we had to end up like some really good players in that, like Morgan Griffin, for example, who was a pretty much like a franchise defenseman that was drafted a low top 4, and he ended up picking up like over 100 points a season multiple times. So it's going to be very exciting to see if we could get players like that in this franchise mode. Now it's all by default putting us in the Pacific Division. I think that perfectly fits, because if you think about like what a map looks like, Alaska is all the way up in the western, like in the west, and it's all the way up north. So kind of makes sense because it is north of like Vancouver and British Columbia and all that stuff. So I think we are in the right division for this. So that's good news. Then we're going to go over here and we're going to turn owner mode off, because owner mode I don't really care too much about. Salary cap is going to be on, I think. Yeah, on, because last time around I had it off to begin with, but then like it gets too easy if you keep it off. So if we keep it on, it will make it a little bit more challenging to build ourselves up a good Draft of Glory roster, because we're going to have to like decide on who we actually want to keep. So we're going to keep that on. Player morale is going to be turned off, because I just don't want to get into chemistry and morale stuff, just because it kind of like it gets a little bit annoying after a while. So I am going to turn that off. It might not be realistic necessarily, but I am going to turn that off. I'm also going to turn fog of war off and head coach edit lines, because obviously we want to set our own lineup. Auto owner mode, obviously I don't have owner mode on anyways. And expansion draft exemption. Yeah, Seattle should be exempt from this expansion draft, so let's continue. And let's go over to the settings and just make sure we have our settings set up properly for this franchise mode. I don't know why period length goes down to 3 minutes, not that that matters really. I think most of this should be pretty fine. Trade difficulty hard, even though we aren't going to be making trades in this series, we might as well just turn it up to hard, just to make it a little bit more realistic for the AI. If the AI even just go off the difficulty, I don't think they do, but so that's good on that front. Advanced setting wise, what have we got here? Sim engine scoring and like draft class quality we'll probably leave on medium, just because if we go low, obviously we would get not good prospects and we wouldn't win a Stanley Cup probably. If we go too high, it might make it too easy for us, so I'd rather just keep it medium, and that way it's kind of like a bit of a balanced. approach. The rest of this should be fine though, because I normally just don't change too much about this unless I'm doing my like throwback franchise modes, which I'm gonna eventually do one of those with my 1979-80 roster build. We are gonna turn injury occurrence all the way down to like I think like 8. So they might not happen that often, but at least it will make it a little bit easier to get through these early years of franchise mode faster, because obviously with the Draft to Glory we want to just be competitive as fast as possible. But that's also going to take probably like 10 seasons maybe around, or 8 seasons. Like we're going to probably be pretty terrible out of the gate. So there we go on that front. That should be set up and ready to go. So let's start up our career and yep, keep salary cap on. And yeah, we'll get into this expansion draft, and then like I said, we'll do the first draft as well, just because that's part of this first like off season, if you will. And then the season simulation will be in next episode, and then we could get primed up for our first official draft, which should be pretty interesting to see what kind of players they put out in the first draft. Like hopefully there's a franchise guy out of the gate. Obviously I would prefer drafting EA generated guys over real players in this franchise mode, just because I'm kind of more attached to fake players than real players in a sense. So I don't know why that is, but anyways, let's get to this expansion draft and just take a bunch of low no-name players and just build out a roster that way. And most of these guys will not play on our team probably. Well, actually most of them will play on our team, but we'll probably end up getting guys with 1 year left on our deals and just letting them all go, and then signing a bunch of random free agents and stuff like that to fill out our roster and make it as terrible as possible. So this expansion draft is going to get kind of annoying, but because like a lot of these guys, like I said, aren't going to be on our team, so we're just going to take as low as possible. And like say Hunter Drew here, we're going to just take him, because we're just going to take as much low overall as possible. And yeah, McGregor, that's fine with me too. Hopefully we are compliant by the end of taking all these bad players. Berglund here, so that gives us already 2 defensemen. It's been a while since I've set it up the Draft to Glory. So Prisky as well, so we got more defensemen. We're gonna need to start taking some forwards though. Clark Bishop is one, that's good. I didn't even realize he was in Calgary now. Still remember him with the Sens like last season or 2 seasons ago maybe now. Chicago, Victor Edsel. Yeah, we should be able to easily get ourselves a lot of these players onto our roster. Like I said, a lot of these guys won't play in the NHL, because most of them we're going to just let go of right away. And we'll find ourselves like some 50 and 60 overall players, and yeah, our team should do pretty terribly. Unless this game is not that good, which hopefully it is, considering it just came out. I am recording this on the 10th, because I already got my code for the game, so that's pretty awesome. I appreciate it to Clappy for sending me a code. So we should start taking some goalies. Is there any terrible goalies? No, not Alex Lyon. He's too good. Well, I mean, he could have 1 year left, though, so we got to find ourselves some terrible goaltenders. Yeah, Valelta. He's not terrible, but still a guy that I would let go over to free agency. How about Minnesota? What you got? Zane McIntyre, sure. Give us a couple goaltenders. Caden Primo. Wow, Caden Primo got dumped by Montreal. That's kind of surprising, but then again, they probably had to protect Carey Price or something. I don't know. Or maybe they decided to protect Carey Price. That's interesting. We could probably use some more forwards still. I don't want to sort by age. Huntington. Let's go with Huntington since he's got the 1 year left, because we're trying to find players on expiring deals in a sense. Grollo, because if some of these guys are like signed for a couple years, I would probably just play them in the AHL. That's the thing. Witherspoon. How much goalies we got? We need 1 more goalie. Too good for the Rangers. We'll take Elson. Ottawa, do you got a goaltender? Hellberg. Hellberg's already put on Ottawa. That's pretty good that the first roster update already has Hellberg on the Sens. Aspero, sure. Let's go with Grosnick here as our other goaltender. What else we got here? Low overall players. Bjorkquist. Let's take, yeah, Bjorkquist. Why not? VL. A lot of terrible players on San Jose. That would be a fun rebuild to do for franchise mode at some point this year, but I don't know if I will get to them. Depends if we do another franchise mode after Chicago, because I will do a regular franchise mode as well. Daniel Walcott, and we should probably take a couple more forwards. We should be compliant by the end of this, I would assume. I would hope, because or else I'm going to have to make some changes to who I picked. Furland, even though he's technically retired, I'm pretty sure, because of concussions. We'll go with Mr. Packle, whoever the heck you are. Never heard of you in my life, to be honest. Connor Brown in Washington seems really weird. And our final pick here of the expansion draft, Ashton Sautner. I must need more goaltenders. Do I need more goalies? Because if I need more goalies, then I'll have to take somebody else. Let's take Berdine and let him go. That should be, yep, that's perfect. Okay. So there is our team via the expansion draft, but all you guys are gone to free agency more than likely, since I'm pretty sure most of you had 1 year left on your contracts. Let's get to the draft interviews. I could actually do some interviews if I want to, but we're already 11 minutes into this video, and I don't want this to be super long, but the first year draft has a guy named Sergei Samsonov. You gotta be joking me. That makes me want to draft him if I get the chance, but I don't even know where we're drafting. The first overall pick is a franchise guy, though. Hopefully we get first overall, please. Because this would be a perfect way to start off a draft to glory. We get a franchise gem sniper. Then this guy's going to be a future player for us for multiple years. Casey Dawes. I mean, if he's like Nigel Dawes, he'll play good for a few years and then just like drop out. I mean, there's Tyler Maroon too. There's actually some pretty good players in this first year draft. But I think building up our offensive core first is the way to go. And then build up a couple defenders. Build up at least some average goaltenders. They don't have to be crazy good goaltenders to win a Stanley Cup. So let's advance today and get to the draft. And hopefully we get first overall. I don't know if we have first overall or not. It didn't come up with where we're drafting. So better hope we have first overall here. So let's get into this draft. And we aren't drafting first overall. We are drafting fourth. That sucks. Arizona's going to get a franchise sniper. So if we have first overall, or not first overall, fourth overall, I guess we're getting stuck with probably like Mats Jorgensen, which I mean it's still a decent forward to start off with. 5'8", 160. So he's a bit of a smaller guy, but he's got goal scoring. He's got playmaking ability as well. Offensive creativity, lacks size, reach, and he must bulk up apparently, yeah, because he's a bit of a small dude. But if for some reason he goes higher up, there's also a defenseman that would be a good way to start off with. And there's also this defender who's apparently ranked 4th, who's a bit better, more NHL ready than Jorgensen. So it depends if we want to go with a forward or a defenseman to start off with. So we'll see if we go with Kiefer Jorgensen. We're definitely not going to go with Samsonov because he's just a top 6, but it really sucks that we don't have the first overall pick because I would have loved to start off with a franchise player. But hopefully we could get one in next year's draft or the next few seasons to start off with, because that'd be nice. So let's sim these first few picks, or actually let's just sim to our pick because I don't care too much about the AI's picks. But yeah, Dawes was an 82 out of the draft, so that would have been really nice. Pominville is a 78, and same with Maroon. Our pick at number 4, do we go with the defenseman or the forward? This guy's a playmaker, but he's got goal scoring, so he could shoot the puck as well. I've had some really good playmakers in the past in franchise mode. He does have wheels for sure, but it's no guaranteed on the rest of them. Actually, it's guaranteed on Spinorama. So he could deke and he could pass the puck. Or we go with a defenseman that's a two-way defender. He's got good size and skill, heavy slap shot, shutdown ability, kind of like a Shea Weber, I guess, if you want to say, or Brent Burns. Well, I don't think Brent Burns is that good at shutting down the opponent. He's kind of more of an offensive defenseman, I would say, in my opinion. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with Jorgensen, just because I think we need to get our forward core started off. There will probably be a good draft with good defenders in it, so I'm going to take Jorgensen, even though he's not technically NHL ready. He will play in our lineup, obviously, in year 1, since he is only 1 year out. So he's probably going to be like a 75, 76, my guess. So let's see on Jorgensen. He is a 75, and we get an achievement for that, apparently. So I guess there's an achievement for drafting a player with an X Factor. That's interesting. So there is Jorgensen, 75 medium elite. Looking pretty good. Yeah, he's pretty balanced. Not necessarily the best physical player, obviously, because of his size, but puck on a string, which, if you guys remember my Arizona series in NHL 22, Agostino had puck on a string as his main zone ability. He also has send it, wheels, and spinorama. So pretty much a great passer and a good deker, but then also a guy that could somewhat shoot the pucks. So very excited to see what he could do in his first season with our Anchorage Ice Tigers. Hopefully he could do pretty good if we could get some good players around him. But obviously it depends on what the rest of this draft is like, because it might end up being pretty terrible. So our second pick in Anchorage Ice Tiger history, there is Cody Klubertons. We should maybe draft a defenseman, so at least we have a prospect in. This guy's a weakness in character, though. I don't really like guys that have weakness in character. I don't want to take real players really either. Brodziak might have an X factor. He might be 5 years out though, so I might have to just go with Klubertons. But he also has a weakness in character. So these two guys are character, not character players. So do I go with one of them, or do I go with the guy that's further out? Luca, or I don't know if that guy's real. Oh, 4 years out. This guy might be a real player, but he's got no weakness and he's 4 years out guaranteed. So debating on the Austrian here. He must be a real player though. For some reason I feel like he is. I don't know. Cameron O'Dell. Do we got any guaranteed steals here? I know we didn't really. Oh, low franchise maybe, probably not. But that would have been insane. Nick Heaton as well. Nick Heaton might be interesting actually. He's 4 years out, and he doesn't have the character issues that the other defensemen have. So yeah, let's go with Kirill Nikitin and get ourselves a defensive prospect. And he's a medium top 6 OFD, so it's not terrible. I mean, he could end up being something decent, and since he's an offensive defenseman, maybe we have somebody that could run our power play at least for the first few years. I don't know how good he's going to turn out, but what else we got here? Sloan, no weakness as well. I kind of like players with no weakness, so I might have to go with him. Dylan Andrews is a real player, so I don't want to go with him. So yeah, I think I'm going to go with Mr. Sloan here, Tristan Sloan from the United States. I'll take him up. He's a medium bottom 6 sniper, so probably not a great player, but at least it fills out our roster with some more players from our draft picks. So hopefully next year's draft is a little bit better. Obviously these first year drafts always are not that good, the ones with the expansion draft. So who do we want to go with here? There's a lot of real players, which is kind of eh. I mean, I might just go with a real player, unless I want to go with this defenseman, Colin Little. He's not really that little, but you know what, let's just go with the generated guy. Little, welcome aboard. Why not? 49 overall, but a medium top 6 potential, so at least he's got potential, but I don't think this guy's going to really develop well. But once again, more defensive prospects. That is always good to have, at least for the first few years. And maybe they'll end up becoming something decent, because a lot of draft glory players get a lot of growth out of the gate. So I think we could always go with, that's a real goaltender. Hugo Jansson's probably a real player as well. Nino Tomov, I don't really know who I want to go with here. Klesla's a goalie, so he's probably not a real player. Dominic Klesla. Might as well get ourselves a goalie prospect, even if he's terrible. There, fringe starter 52, I'll take it. This guy might end up being like that first ever goalie we drafted in Houston that played a few years with us. Like, that guy might be our starting goalie for the first like 4 or 5 seasons, and eventually then he might get replaced by somebody that actually has good potential, or that could develop. Saul Giordano, Timo Hentrius, Voutilainen. Voutilainen might be an enforcer. He's got a strength and character, I like that. No weakness. Huh. I like that these guys have good character, as well as Henricius, or whatever you pronounce his last name. Giordano's also got good work ethic. Let's go with let's go with Voutilainen. Yeah, might as well get another defender. Voutilainen's a 7th D, so nothing huge, but who knows? Maybe he could help play some solid defense on our core for a few years. Or maybe he will be a guy that's with our team still many years to come. Okay, so is this our final pick here? Yeah, this is our final pick of this draft. And then we'll sim up our... Actually, we won't set up our... Actually, maybe we'll do our free agent signings already. This might be a little bit of a long episode to start off with. We'll see. Because I will need to sign a bunch of free agents just to fill out a roster and get rid of everybody in the re-sign stage. Like, we're pretty much trying to get our team set up as much as possible for next episode, so we could just sim the season in next episode. Ronnie Dika, no weakness, or Ashton Brophy. Let's go with Brophy since he's a center. Why not? He is a medium bottom 650 overall, so at least some of these guys have okay potential. But there's our first draft. I wouldn't say too bad. We got Jorgensen, who's the future medium elite player for our top 6 for multiple years to come. We got a couple of defensive prospects. We got a goalie prospect. We got some more forward prospects. So pretty much trying to target as much things as possible with this roster. So let's get to the re-sign stage and let go of everybody that is there, because I think that should be our entire roster that is up for renewal. And we will sign all our unsigned guys, but let's let all these guys go, because all these guys are not going to play for our NHL team, because we're looking for worse players than 70 overall. We're looking for like the 49s, the 36s, as low as possible, which hopefully there is an abundance of those coming over from the European leagues. But yeah, all these guys are going to go to free agency, and maybe some of them will never get to play again. Maybe some will get signed to play in other teams' AHL affiliates. We'll see about that. But yeah, I'm really excited to get this series underway, because it's going to be fun to see if we can end up getting this team to being pretty competitive in like 15 seasons or whatever. It's probably going to take a while, my guess. I don't remember how long it took me with Houston, but yeah, hopefully we could find some really cool players in the draft, and hopefully we could find another channel legend, someone like Raimo Jaskalainen, who I got in Houston, who was one of the best players I've ever had. A really good playoff player and good captain for my Draft to Glory team for multiple years. So there you go. Everybody is released, which means we only have 2 people under contract. Who are the 2 people under contract? Oh, just Turner Elson and Desharnais. So those guys have to play in the AHL next season. So I will have to remember that to send them down. But we are going to be signing all our players that we just drafted. So Jorgensen to his ELC, Nikitin. Hopefully these guys don't end up wanting too much money too early on, because I know that's a problem with Draft to Glory, is guys, since they're playing in the NHL, think that they're worth like $5 million is like a 69 overall or something. So there you go. All those guys signed, and Klesla as well. So that should be good. And we need to find players as well in free agency that are going to be our cap whales to make sure that we could stay afloat in terms of the salary cap. Okay, so let's get to those free agent signings, because obviously we're going to need to sign, since how much forwards do we got at the moment? We need to have like 24 forwards between both the NHL and AHL. So we right now have only 4. Wait, actually, we only have 3 NHL forwards. I actually should write this down just so I don't forget. We only have 3 forwards. We have technically 4 defensemen and 1 goalie for the NHL, which means we still need like another 9 forwards for the NHL. We need another 2 defensemen, and we need another 1 goaltender for the NHL. And then everybody else is the AHL bound, so we need, AHL wise, we need like 11 forwards, because we had Turner Elson signed. Wasn't there somebody else as well that I mentioned? There was, I thought. Maybe it was a defender. Oh, it's Desharnais. So we actually only have 3 defensemen in the NHL, so we technically need 3 defensemen still. And which means we need a full 6D in the AHL, and we need 2 goalies. So we need quite a bit. We need like 20 forwards. And the ones that are the cap whales obviously have to play in the NHL. So this is going to be a little bit of a tedious part, but once we get this set up, at least we'll be ready to start the season simulation in the next episode, so that's good. Wow, is Dylan Larkin headed the free agency? No, he's an RFA. Okay, I was going to say, what the heck. Okay, let's start off by signing our goaltenders. Let's sort by the lowest overall players here and get ourselves some goaltenders. So we need 1 goalie for the NHL. So we will sign Sichon, or however you pronounce that. We'll also sign these 2 guys for the AHL, because we do need 2 AHL goaltenders. So that should be good. Then we need some defenders for the AHL and NHL. We need 3 for the NHL, so let's sign them up. I need to find ones that I can make one way as well, if possible. There you go, like this guy, because this guy will be one of our cap whales here. There you go, enjoy $16.5 million. Imagine just doing that in real life. Just like find a random guy and just give him $16 million. Sounds like a Mr. Beast thing or something. We'll do it a Bender as well, so those two guys will be 2 over cap whales. We should probably have like 3 cap whales or 4 in the NHL. Yeah, probably we need like 3 or 4, maybe 5 even. Let's sign a couple of guys as well for the NHL. You can play in the NHL. We need 6 defensemen for the AHL. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1 more at least. We could sign some depth if we want to as well, but that's not that important because I don't think injuries are going to affect us that much. Okay, so that should be good for defensemen. Let's go to forwards here and get ourselves 9 more forwards for the NHL, so some of them need to be cap whales. You are going to be a cap whale, sir, Mr. Nod. And we need 1 more cap whale, I'd say at least. Maybe we need 2 more. Yeah, let's just give 2 more. We'll have the cap space to get them for sure. So Ilstad, which I think I had him in my last year draft to glory, so, and Elsner. So there's our 5 cap whales. So that's 3 more forwards. So now we need 6 forwards for the NHL. So we'll get these 2. And we'll get the next 4 as well. All these guys should accept. If some of them reject, I will be quite surprised. There we go. That is our forwards for the NHL club. Then we need also 11 forwards for the AHL. Geez, there's so much players assigned in this. So that's 1, 2. There's a number 3. Sorry if this part's really tedious. I want to make these episodes kind of interesting, so trying to not make these too long of episodes if possible. So how much players is that? I think that was like 5 at least for the AHL so far. 6, we'll say. 7, 8. So we'll sign 3 more. And then we should have enough players for our entire team. And then we'll have to set up our roster for the start of the season, which I am very excited about. Let's sign at least 1 more just in case, because I don't know if I have enough yet. Let's sign 1 more defenseman as well, just in case we need a 7th defender for both NHL and AHL. There we go, that should be good. And let's sign some depth goaltenders as well. Not Markkinen because he's got potential. We'll sign this guy for 1, and we'll sign another goalie in case as well, in case we get random injuries, because you never know what could happen with the injury bugs. So we'll sim up to next season because we will get all these guys for sure. And they will all accept, because I don't think anybody would reject that much amount of money if some of them were getting $16 million. So that's a lot of players. Jeez. Why are we getting trade offers here? I don't want no trade offers. I should honestly just turn off the screen. Yeah, I'm going to just turn that off, I think. I'm still getting trade offers. I do not want Jonas Bergin. Not in a chance. We'd rather draft a great player than take one that's already in NHL. Can I turn off those trade notifications? Trade offer notifications. There you go. Because I do not care in the slightest about trade offer notifications from the AI, because obviously we're not making no trades. So I should have turned that off to begin with, but yeah, I'm excited to see what Jorgensen could do in his first season. Obviously he's not going to probably do too well because he doesn't have great line mates, but if he could at least crack like 20 points and be our leading point getter, then that would be a good sign. And if he could get some good growth too. Okay, let's set up our lines. Let's call up some guys from the AHL. Wow, they changed the screen a little bit actually, because they actually put the X factors below the player as well. And there's a little bit more room on the bottom, which kind of seems a little bit weird from my perspective, being like kind of into UI UX design. Oh damn, what the heck is this? Oh, I part edit strategies. Oh, what the heck? I didn't know you could edit the strategies for the lines. Is that something that's new? Or was that in NHL 22? I don't remember if it was or not. That's weird. Okay, let's, how do we go to roster moves? Let's actually just get out of the screen and go to roster moves to make it a little bit easier. But yeah, I don't know if that was there before. I'm trying to think if it was. Okay, so players we drafted. Who did we draft here? Brophy was definitely one of them. Little was definitely one of them. I don't think any of those other players were one of them. Klusla was one of them. Which means we to go back to NHL, let go of Hackinson. Actually, we'll keep Hackinson and bring down Tisdale. We need 2 more forwards to go down, which are, I believe, Turner Elson, yeah, and Desharnais need to get sent down. And we should call up the defenseman then from the AHL. So we'll call up Dob Meyer. Wait, how do I click on him? Actually, let's just do it like that first. And let's go best lines and make sure we have our draft picks in the lineup. Yeah, how do I go best lines again? Oh yeah, I have to go like this probably, right? Yeah, I feel like to change something with the controls, because for some reason I'm like kind of disjointed here. Okay, so let's set up our top line of just our players that we drafted. So Jorgensen, Brophy, and Sloan. That looks good to me. And then who else did we draft? We only drafted those 3 forwards, so I think we got the rest on the defensive end, which is Nikitin, yep. Voutilainen was one of them as well. And Little was one, and wasn't there another one? I don't think one of them was there. So I think it's 3 defensemen that we drafted. Yeah, I think it was, yeah, because if it was 3, 3, and 1. That's right. So we'll move Little up as well. So that way we're playing our players in priority. And we'll go to goalies, and Klesla needs to be the starter. So I need to send down Hackinson if possible. Yeah, it looks like roster moves you have to press down on the thumbstick, which I don't know if you had to do that before, or if I'm just tripping balls here. We'll send down Hackinson. And we will call up one of the 51 overall guys. What the heck is this screen doing? There, multi-select. There we go. Now we're good. Okay. So that should be set up almost. Klesla will be our starting goaltender. And scratch-wise, we obviously have to send down those guys because Tomlinson, Anderson, and Caranta, I don't even know how it's pronounced, but those guys need to get sent down because they aren't going to be playing. And more than likely, they won't get thrown into the lineup at all. So it was Anderson, Thomason, or Thompson, was it? Or Thomason, yeah, it was Thomason. Those guys need to get sent down. Boom. And we should be good. We'll go ahead at the best lines down there in the AHL as well, because why not? Yeah, I keep on going to go edit lines, and it keeps on coming up with the strategy stuff, so I don't think that was there before. I feel like that's something new. Yeah, what the heck is, like this, I didn't think was in franchise mode. Like editing strategies for each line. Like I feel like this is new, so we might actually get to play around with some cool stuff in the next episode. Let's go preferred lines. There you go, that's set up. And now it says like even strength on the top, which I don't think it did that before. Wow, this is weird. Yeah, I don't think these strategies were there before. Maybe it's with the head coach return edit lines off or whatever. I don't know. But there is that. So Jorgensen. Wow. Yeah, I don't really know what to do with that type of screen yet. Okay, so yeah, starting for next episode, we'll have Sloan, Brophy, and Jorgensen on our forward core on the top line. Nikitin and Little on the top pairing. Voutilainen is also on the second pairing. And then we got Klesla in between the pipes. Should be an interesting first season, I think. So final thing to wrap up this episode, because we're already around 34 minutes, so let's just take a look at the draft class ahead, see what is there, even though we don't know anything about this draft class, other than it's the Connor Bedard draft. Looks like there's a Ukrainian second overall, which would be interesting. But obviously Bedard's a franchise player, so if we get Bedard, that'd be really nice. But should be an interesting first official draft, and hopefully we have an okay season, all things considered. So anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this first episode of our Anchorage Ice Tigers Draft to Glory. So in next episode, we will simulate the entire season. We'll see how we do in our first year and get set up for our first official draft. So I'm going to think down below, and I'll see you guys next time.